Tonight on Beer Geek Nation, we look at Hair of the Dog Brewing's Ruth. Hey guys, welcome to Beer Geek Nation. I'm your host, Chris Stelz. Tonight we're looking at a brewery that's really hard to get on the East Coast. It is Hair of the Dog Brewing, and this is Ruth. This is their American Pale Ale. Comes in at 4.5%. So it's a really good daily drinker, probably a really good session beer. I've never had any of their beers. It's always been one of those breweries that I've heard about and I've always wanted to try. I think they're more known for Adam and Fred, which is their barley wine, and I think Adam's an old ale. I've never had either one of those. They are kind of starting to creep up, the upper mid-Atlantic region as far as being able to get these. They're pretty readily available in New York. I got this at a local bottle shop, so I've seen cases of the the different beers they make at a beer distributor by me. So it's definitely getting out here. They're based out of Oregon, Portland, Oregon. So you're gonna be able to get them more in Washington, California, that whole West Coast area. But they make supposedly really good beers, so I'm looking forward to trying this. One thing I should mention, and I should have mentioned this first, but BeerGeekNation.com is kind of up and running now. It's still kind of tweaking things on it a little bit. I'm trying to figure out what exactly I want to do with it, but you can go there. You can find all my reviews, all the different styles, and I'm going to break it down into breweries eventually. I do want to do some articles, some non-video reviews of beers that I try to, and I'm going to try to get some other people to kind of write for the website. Also, if you guys want to get a hold of me, twitter.com/BeerGeekNation, which is all one word. That's kind of the easiest way to do it. I get it on my phone, so anytime you want to message me or you have a request or a question or you want to trade or anything, that's the easiest way to do it. And also on there, pretty much as soon as I post a video, it goes on to Twitter. And I also do a lot of stuff if I go to a bar, or like I was at the bottle shop the other day and I posted a picture of some beers I have, or just stupid reviews, really 100-word reviews or 100-character reviews or whatever it is. Beers. So that's the easiest way to get a hold of me, or my email address, which is chris@beergeeknation.com. But with that said, back to the beer review. I've been meaning to say that for a couple of reviews now, but kept forgetting to do it. So, with that said, we are going to be looking at this Ruth, which is American Pale Ale. I really enjoy American Pale Ales. I think it's one of those styles. It's kind of overlooked in the, not overlooked, but kind of not focused on, I guess is the right word, in the craft beer scene, especially on Beer Advocate and Rate Beer. It takes a pretty fine hand as far as being a really good brewmaster to brew a really good pale ale, whether it be American Pale Ale or just traditional style English Pale Ale or whatever, what have you. Off the top of my head, probably my favorite pale ales, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, which is a staple from the West Coast. East Coast, Victory's Hop Devil is just spot on. Middle of the country, you've got Founders. They're a Pale Lady Pale Ale, which is amazing. Oscar Blues, their canned beer, their Dale's Pale Ale is just phenomenal. So there's a bunch, no matter where you live, you're going to be able to get a really solid Pale Ale. And I think a lot of times a Pale Ale can be either really good or just, kind of fall kind of flat. So I'm hoping this one is one of the better ones. So let me get it into a glass, let me, let you know how it smells, how it tastes, and give you the verdict, and we'll go from there. One thing I forgot to mention, it is an unfiltered pale ale, which you do not see at all. I mean, that's a very rare thing in a pale ale. And it says it on the bottle. I forgot to mention that, but you can also see it, in the color, which is hazy, a really light kind of golden, orangey, yellowish gold color. Light white head, really small amounts of lacing, small amounts of head. Good carbonation. I mean, I can see the bubbles coming up from the bottom. pretty much, dead on as far as pale ale color. Unfiltered, clear, I don't have a problem with that at all. I think what that's going to give you is kind of more of the yeast characteristics. Depending on how it's fermented, you might get a dry bready flavor or fruity esters. So I mean, it's just going to add more character to the beer, which is kind of a good idea in a pale ale. And I don't know why more people don't do it, because pale ales are kind of weird. The way beer works, the more malt and fermentable sugars you have in a beer, the more additional flavors you're able to put into the beer. And when I say additional flavors, I mean hops most of the time. So your double IPAs that are 10%, the reason they can be so hoppy is because there are so much fermentables in it, and that allows the alpha acidic units from the hops to actually stick in stay in the beer rather than get fermented out or fall out of suspension or, just not take effect. With a pale ale, because this is only a 4.5% beer, that ranges anywhere, for 4% up to, say, 6% for a pale ale. In order to get a good hop characteristic, you really have to know what you're doing as far as the malt bill, as far as dry hopping, what hops you want to use in order to get the most ideal flavor out of it. Because you can't add a lot of hops to it. You can't kind of mask any of the flavors in here. So anything that they put into a pale ale is kind of out there for the taster to see, or to taste, I should say. So that's why I kind of appreciate a really good pale ale. Now, pouring this, I did get a little bit of hop aroma. So that was interesting. I didn't think I'd get any, but it's a little bit of a citrusy, kind of West Coasty, piney, a little bit of, like mango-y kind of smell. Yeah, it's not overwhelming. And I tell you, I'm definitely getting some of the yeast characters in this, which is, I'm glad to smell that. A little bit of fruity esters. It's not overwhelming, and it's not like a unfiltered double IPA or anything, but definitely some fruity esters in there, which is kind of cool to get in a pale ale. A lot of malt. I'm actually getting a lot of malt characters in this. I should also mention here, the Dog uses all organic malt, which, as far as I know, is one of the only breweries to do that. I guess they just switched over in the last couple of years here, and the brewmaster says that he thinks that it makes a better beer. So I'm definitely getting malt characters in this, which you usually don't get in a pale ale. Lots of hop, more than I thought I was going to be getting. They probably dry hop this pretty decently. Fruity, kind of mango-y characters, which I didn't expect. That's more kind of a middle of the country kind of flavor. Yeah, that's a good pale ale. I'm getting lots of citrus, bitterness, kind of lots of grapefruit, lots and lots of grapefruit flavor. A little bit of bitterness in the front. By the time it gets to the back, you get some of the sweetness from the malt, some of the sweetness from the yeast, and some of the sweeter hops come out, kind of the mango characters, a little bit of pineapple in there. I don't get much of the yeast characteristics, in the taste. They're definitely a little bit there, but more in the smell. Yeah, that's a really good pale ale. That's up there. That's actually, this is probably one of the better ones I've had. It reminds me a lot of Dale's Pale Ale. This is actually a little bit better than that. I'm getting a lot more hop character. This is actually a really well balanced pale ale. At the same time, it is definitely it's hoppy. I mean, it's a lot hoppier than I thought it was going to be. If you've ever had Three Floyd's Alpha King, it actually reminds me a little bit of that, except actually more hoppy in a good way. I'm getting all kinds of hop characteristics in this. I get, tons of grapefruit, followed by a little bit of the bitterness, some citrus, some mango, and then a little bit of the yeast characters. And then it kind of all gets smoothed out by a little bit of malt character in this, which is a little bit of the grain bills coming through, which is really cool. This would be a great session beer, just a phenomenal summer beer, and it's a year-round beer. So again, this, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give this one a 10. It is really good, and I'm glad I tried it. This is my first Hair of the Dog beer, and I'm looking forward to trying more. If this is any indicator. So like I said, this is Hair of the Dog Brewing. It's Ruth. It's their American Pale Ale. Available now where you can get it. It's slowly creeping in on the West Coast. New York, you should have no problem get it. California, Washington, Oregon, obviously, you're going to be able to get out there, no problem. Comes in at 4.5%. It is unfiltered, so, if you have a problem with not clear beers, you might want to stay away from this one, but don't let that scare you at all. I highly recommend this. This is, you know, a really good pale ale. It's probably one of the best you're going to have. So until next time, cheers.